Z105.
And we're back!
Welcome to Dusty Thoughts, brought to you by Chris Klein, America's favorite actor.
This is Chris Klein for Dreamgirls.
Yo! Where your dream girls, boys? Where your dream girls?
I'm like a bird, I only fly away. I don't know where my soul is.
I wish Chris Klein was my fucking dad. Yeah, what's good, everyone? It's Duster here with another 25 films to talk about. Shut up, Watch. I'm here to talk about 25 films that I've seen. I'm up to 75 movies now for this year. This year is still
Gross. Disgusting.
Thank you. I can't stand this year. I feel like it's like deliberately fucking with me. I don't know if you guys even understand what I mean. Let's move on to the worst movie I've seen this quarter. Not this year. Nothing topped Truth or Dare yet. Let's see what it is. And motherfuck. Father of the Year. It's a Happy Madison produced movie. It's not on the same contract as his other movies, Adam Sandler, but it's a Netflix movie and it stars David Spade, Academy Award-winning writer slash well-known comic character actor Nat Faxon, and it also stars Matt Shively from Paranormal Activity 4 and True Jackson VP. Now, this movie is about Matt Shively and Joey Bragg, particularly Joey Bragg from, I think he's a Disney Channel star. He's horrible in this movie and should never be in another movie ever again. Him and Matt Shively, their dads, played by David Spade and Nat Faxon. And by the way, none of these people look alike, so these relationships aren't believable. They get into this stupid bet where it's like, oh, I bet your dad can't kick my dad's ass. And that's not even the plot of the movie. The plot of the movie is literally nothing. I mean, that's really what starts it, was like that bet, but like it goes nowhere. And the rest of the movie is just David Spade doing an Adam Sandler and That's My Boy impression and trying to redeem himself to his son. And if anything, I think David Spade and Nat Faxon might have given me like one or two moments, but I never laughed out loud at all. What really offended me was that it just relied on gross out gags for no reason, because it literally had nothing else in the script.
You ever bone your grandma to death? Talk about going out with a bang, people!
I'm sick of seeing Adam Sandler's nephew, Jared Sandler, in movies, because he's just horrible. And Joey Bragg is, like I said, fucking excruciating as the lead role in this. I can't believe I'm talking about this fucking movie as long as I am. Another fucking Netflix movie? What the fuck is this one about?
Why do those shorts cover your belly button but not your balls?
What's that on your face? It looks like you drank a glass of Ed Sheeran's pubes.
Okay, stop right there. It's just a bunch of kids, right? And they're going on a camping trip, and they just think that like they're in an Apatow movie, so they can like improv all their lines, and they think like they're hysterical. Ooh, sexy girls dancing in the woods. You know, it's a hip hop music. You know, it's, yeah, drinking and smoke. Oh, drinking and smoke. Oh, drinking and smoke.
This knife is so sharp, it can cut piss.
I got my dick off!
Yikes. And that's my problem with Netflix. They'll really give anybody a fucking movie. I swear to God. And from the director of Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Now, granted, I've loved this guy, Jake Szymanski's other directorial efforts for HBO when he collaborates with Andy Samberg for films like 7 Days in Hell and Tour de Pharmacy. But as a feature-length director, this being his second film, I have a lot to say about this one. Believe you me.
Didn't see us! This will get their attention.
As long as it's within 12 hours, a severed member can still be reattached.
Yes!
Whose idea was it to set off the fireball?
It was all me, dude.
You're a fucking idiot!
Now, I'm going to go really in on this movie, and it's going to sound like I hate this movie more than Father of the Year, but just because Father of the Year was barely a movie, and this is a movie, it has a good setup, but it goes for the lowest common denominator of jokes. It's just a more disappointing movie than Father of the Year, but it's technically not worse. Now, this movie was produced by the Workaholics guys, who brought us Game Over Man, also a Netflix movie from earlier this year, and Ben Stiller. And the marketing for this movie is like, from the creators of Workaholics and Tropic Thunder. Like, those pieces of property are even comparable. It's a movie about a kid who loses his fucking dick, and his friends need to retrieve it to him, and shenanigans ensue. Now, this is a 94-minute movie, and it feels like it's 2 hours. The pacing in this movie is horrendous. The entire premise is literally what I said. They have to find his dick, they find it, they have to clean it, they have to suck venom out of the dick, even though I'll explain all of it. It's fucking stupid. We're introduced to 5 of the main characters, 3 guys and 2 girls. The main character is played by Daniel Doheny, who was also in a Netflix movie earlier this year called Alex Strangelove, which also looked terrible and I didn't watch it. He is a horrendous lead in this movie. He's a pathetic character. I guess he's like an exchange student to Germany, and he comes back from Germany to see his friends again for the summer or whatever, and every once in a while he says something German out of nowhere. And I don't know if it's a character trait or just him trying to be funny and him just saying, "Auf Wiedersehen" out of nowhere. It's not funny to me, alright? You're not funny. You're an awkward piece of shit. They definitely give him, like, opportunities to improvise, and he's terrible at it. He's like Jay Baruchel with no charisma. We also have his friend, played by Luke Spencer Roberts, who's actually okay in this movie, but he's given nothing funny to do. His other friend, who is the one who loses his dick, is played by American Vandal's Eduardo Franco, and he's trying his very hardest to the point where at the very end of the movie, there's a song playing. This movie has an original song. It's called "Miss My Dick, I Miss My Dick," and he's the one who raps it. He's really into this movie, this kid. And every once in a while, I might have chuckled at 1 or 2 things he said, but his character is kind of pathetic. His sister is played by Geraldine Viswanathan from Blockers, who was okay in that movie, but in this movie it looks like she's bored out of her mind, and she's really bad in the dramatic scenes in this movie, and her character isn't likable at all. Her fucking brother, played by Eduardo Franco, is like weirdly incestual with her. So like Daniel Doheny, of course, has a crush on Geraldine Viswanathan, and Eduardo Franco's character is like, "Yeah, man, you should bang my sister. I can feel it when you're banging her." And I'm like, what movie is this right now? I really need a drink right now, like, for this. We also have Sadie Calvano, who's absolutely beautiful, and she's also like Luke Spencer Roberts trying in this movie, but she's given nothing interesting to work with. Even though she probably had like 1 or 2 lines I chuckled at. But I never laughed out loud in this movie at all. Now, once Eduardo Franco loses his dick, that's where the movie really goes off the rails in a terrible way. The movie keeps relying on gross out gag after gross out gag after gross out gag, just for the sake of it after a while, just because the movie's centered on a severed penis.
I got my dick off!
Seriously, to a point where there's a scene in this movie that's parodying that scene in Toy Story 2 where Woody's getting fixed by that old creepy guy with the glasses. Yeah, just replace Woody with an actual dick. It's goddamn disturbing, and it's not funny. It's just weird.
I'll suck it! I will suck the dick!
It's really cool of you. Yeah. You demand.
The Daniel Doheny has to suck venom out of the dick after a snake bit into it, and then later in the movie, we learn that the snake bit it, but there was no venom that came out, so there was no point to him even sucking the dick. It was just a stupid gross out gag just to get shitty, cheap laughs. The movie also, like, relies on "Oops, I Did It Again" running gag like it's 2004, and there's like an orchestral version of the song that's playing in the climax of the movie, and it's not funny, okay, guys? Honestly, a lot of this movie felt like the Workaholics guys were really just writing this script as it was going, because, like, a lot of the dialogue is like Workaholics, but in a really copycat and cheap way, because you have characters say shit like, "Oh, he's cliffhangering! He's Terminatoring!" Like, that's some shit you hear on Workaholics, and it's so not natural coming out of these teenagers' mouths. Teenagers that were presumably born after the year 2000 in this movie. Speaking of Workaholics, Blake Anderson is in this movie, used horribly. He's not bad in the movie, but the way they use him in this movie is kind of insulting. And The sister from Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates is truly awful in this movie, and they really let her go off the rails in this, I swear to God, without going into graphic detail. There's medical malpractice in this movie. After a while, it seems like every character in this movie that isn't one of the main characters just is on a mission to, like, subconsciously, like, wants this kid to not have his dick again. Like, that's how it feels. Like, the nurse is horrible to him.
Don't you yell at me. I'm not the one who got drunk and...
Obviously, you don't have a dick.
No one in this room has a dick.
Every doctor in this movie is horrible to everyone. Like, there's a scene where Luke Spencer Roberts is going into the room where Blake Anderson is because he's mad that the guy has his friend's dick. And then this nurse just tackles him. Like, that's not funny. That's just fucked up. And that fucking lady should be fired. Alright, it's not real, but whatever. I mean, if the movie's not making me laugh, that's the sort of shit I start thinking about. Like, I start thinking it's real, because it's, like, not funny to me. Like, it's just, like...
Gross. Disgusting.
Thank you. And we're back! And the writing in this movie is just terrible, alright? All of the character subplots are derivative, boring, I don't care. Geraldine Viswanathan has a shitty boyfriend who cheats on her. And the boyfriend vapes. That's a one-off joke. Daniel Doheny a awkward Jay Baruchel ripoff who speaks German. Okay, who cares? Luke Spencer Roberts is an annoying asshole who has abandonment issues, so he starts rumors about his friends being meth heads. Eduardo Franco's just obsessed with, his sister fucking his best friend, and he has, he's being catfished, but he's not, by this girl who's called Kendall Jenners. Like, this movie just has really shitty, like easy jokes that it just throws at you just to get easy laughs. Now, the two people that wrote this movie are actually writing this movie called Stoned Alone, which is a movie about a guy who is home alone, stoned, and he's paranoid that two guys are breaking into his house, a la Home Alone, but for stoners. And I really feel like I should be the guy in that movie, but, like, since I hate this movie, and if the writers see this review, they're gonna be like, don't fucking put this asshole in this movie, even though it's practically my goddamn life story. Like, Jesus Christ, I'm stoned, I'm alone right now, fuck you guys. Yet, I'm being way more coherent than the writers of this movie were while writing this movie. Jake Sismansky really just needs to strictly partner with Andy Samberg from now on, because whenever he's with him, they go for gross out gags sometimes, but it's mainly like really good satire and great dialogue, great improv. But he has no idea what tone he wants for this movie. He has no idea if this wants to be a dark, cynical movie or a light teen comedy. Like, he doesn't know what this movie wants to be at all. There's a scene where a doctor just says, "Say goodbye to Danish girl." Like, that's just horrible. Like, that's not funny. That's just cruel. I'm actually surprised this movie is worse than Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. I mean, not by much, but it's worse. Just because they really didn't do anything with this premise besides gross out gags, and the dialogue was half given a shit.
This movie sucks. Do not see this fucking movie. It's so fucking terrible.
World star!
They're really testing my fucking patience, I swear to God. Okay, so it's the after party. This movie's directed by Ian Edelman. It's, like I said, another Netflix movie. It stars the rapper Kyle.
Hey, flow is like a double play. None of you niggas is safe. Making these hits. Every time I step to the plate, I biggity bang, boom, bow. Niggas can't fuck with me now. Doing shit they don't know how. Doing it better. Making your girl get wetter.
Kyle, can you stop bragging? This is another Netflix piece of shit. This movie could have been good. It could have been good. It follows him and his friend, played by Harrison Holzer, who's like his manager as well. Kyle's an aspiring rapper. Film is set primarily during one night. The beginning of the movie starts out pretty much with Kyle at a concert after smoking with Wiz Khalifa. This happens.
Yo, Wiz, this shit is strong. I'm smacked.
First of all, no. That doesn't happen. In real life, at least, that doesn't happen. I mean, you don't smoke weed and just get a seizure, okay? You don't puke projectile vomit all over someone. That doesn't happen, okay? And if it has happened to you, you're a bitch. People can't hold their smoke, I swear. And then this happens.
So they're calling him Seizure Boy, and they even have a seizure dance.
You're Seizure Boy.
Nah.
Fuck am I doing?
Is it over for this guy?
Stick a fork in him, he's done.
Alright, fuck this movie. First of all, this movie is also co-produced by World Star Hip Hop. Yeah. So, the fact that it's like a collaboration between World Star Hip Hop and Netflix, and they're portraying this world as like shallow, mean-spirited pieces of shit who will literally make fun of a person and turn them into a meme over a seizure. That is just cruel. This is one of the most mean-spirited movies of the year, and it's masquerading as like a lighthearted, teen coming-of-age flick, a la Superbad, or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or Dope, or even fucking 8 Mile. Like, this movie's trying to be like a million different movies, and it fails at everything. Plus, like, he has to go to the Marines, Kyle, and what is this, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Like, what the fuck? First of all, it's not funny. Second of all, it wastes every single hip-hop cameo in it, except maybe Jadakiss at the very beginning, because he isn't playing himself, and is actually playing like an interesting character. He's in it for 2 minutes, but still. Why does Jadakiss have to be in this movie? That's too long of a verse for that song. Why is Jadakiss the best part of this movie? Why can't I see the unfriended chick's boobies? The best friend character is really like the asshole, but like at the same time the movie's trying to tell us, oh, he's not really an asshole. He's an asshole to everyone else except Kyle. He really believes in Kyle. He really wants him to be a rapper and really be successful, and he's a true friend in that way. Yet he's literally a shitheel to everyone else. And then at the end, Kyle says all this shit to him and basically says that he's his friend because he wants to fuck his sister. And it's like, wow, if anybody said that shit to me, I would not be their friend after that. And literally the next scene, they're like, oh, I'm joking, I'm your best friend, I love you. And it's like, and even at the very end, it's like Harrison Holzer's like, oh yeah, you saved me. And then Kyle's like, yeah, well, kind of, I came back to take a piss. It's like, movie, pick a fucking side! And for being another hip-hop movie, and it doesn't have a good soundtrack either, like, ugh. I don't mind Kyle as an actor. I don't, and I like him and Harrison Holzer. I like their chemistry in the movie. It's just the characters are really terrible, and I didn't laugh in this movie at all. And any fun I would have, the movie would just be like, nope, we're a piece of shit, and we're mean-spirited as fuck. I like Tiana Taylor in it. I thought she was very charismatic, and Blair Underwood was very good. And thank God he wasn't a cartoon in this movie as Kyle's dad. Netflix. All Dusty wanted was a good story. I love my stories. Honestly, Netflix is like the North Korea of film studios, except Netflix is more comfortable in releasing their nuclear bombs to the world.
How do we get a record deal before the sunrise?
Okay, real quick, the Happytime Murders. Okay, I was expecting this to be like the worst movie of the year because of that horrible Red Band trailer. And yeah, I'm not going to cut away to the trailer because I'm not downloading that onto my computer. I'm not going to download a video where a fucking puppet jizzes silly string, okay? That's not going to be on my hard drive. Not cutting back to that. Yeah, this movie was way less raunchy than I thought it was going to be, and just more of a typical buddy cop movie. And it was just super generic and really unfunny and just fascinatingly bad. The main character in the movie is voiced by Bill Beretta, a puppeteer, I believe. And yeah, he's okay in the movie, but the movie gives him nothing to work with. And he does a really good Robert De Niro impression, but it just kind of goes to waste. Honestly, I do really like Melissa McCarthy, even though she's made some horrible choices in the past with other movies like Ghostbusters and Identity Thief. Especially Identity Thief. Overall, I thought she was kind of miscast in this movie. It's not that she was terrible or anything, it's just I thought she was really miscast. I think they needed like a goofier actress for this sort of movie. I think they needed like someone like Tiffany Haddish or Kate McKinnon. Like I said, the movie like isn't funny at all. It has really flat direction. Jim Henson would be rolling in his grave if he found out his son directed this. The funniest aspect of this movie is how it tries to act as an allegory for racism. Shut the fuck up, Happytime Murders. Alright, this movie tried to be like the next Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it ended up being like an episode of CSI Miami after a certain point. Listen to a couple of these lines. Clean up on aisle Phil. Her hair was red like fire, and her ass was red like fire. Am I a human or am I a puppet? Yeah, I'm pretty sure David Caruso wrote this movie. It's like another, like, 9 Lives, where it's like, it's not, like, offensively bad, but it's horrible. Like, it's just a bad movie. Badly directed, badly acted, not funny. Just more, like, unintentionally funny. Why? Fuck my arms.
Then when I heard that they were going to make Cars 2 into like a spy movie, I was like, is the director Robert Rodriguez the director of Spy Kids? Gay. You can't turn Cars into fucking Spy.
The Spy Who Dumped Me is next. It's directed by Susanna Fogel. It stars Mila Kunis. I love Mila Kunis. She's great. I want to name my future daughter Mila. And she's the star of the classic American Psycho 2, All-American Girl. The film also stars Kate McKinnon, Hassan Minhaj, Sham Huygen, and Justin Theroux. My name is Justin Theroux. Give me the dough. Yeah, that's the rhymes, yo. Yeah, this movie looked like garbage. And it's not good, but it's not terrible. It didn't offend me. It's just not very funny. I don't think Susanna Fogel was a very good choice for this movie. I honestly think Paul Feig did it better with Melissa McCarthy in a little movie called Spy. That movie title really knew how to get to the point. Spy. This movie's like, oh, the spy who da 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 da. I don't care what the spy did. Yeah, he did a way better job with that movie, even though that movie still kind of looks like an SNL sketch. I mean, it still looks more believable than this movie. The script and the plot, they're not giving anything to Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon at all. Like, I love Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon at points in this movie, and I think they have good chemistry, but they really needed a better movie. I really don't have much to say. It wasted supporting cast. I liked Sam Huygen and Justin Theroux, even though he's playing another iffy character, but, you know, and a waste of Hassan Minhaj, a great stand-up comedian. I like that guy a lot. Honestly, it's way better than I thought it'd be.
And I found this folder. It was hidden. And it automatically connects you to this thing.
Dude, this is dark web.
What's dark web?
The first Unfriended, I hated. It was just about like a bully ghost killing other bullies. Riveting. Now, this movie is obviously better. I don't really hate it, but I don't really care for it that much either. It's still just as mean-spirited as the first movie. The characters aren't very interesting, but they're better actors that are playing them, especially the lead actor, Colin Waddell. His deaf girlfriend was the most annoying thing about this movie. Besides when the fucking, like, hackers in this movie break in, and whenever you see them on the webcam, they glitch. Totally unrealistic. Yeah, I feel like the characters in this movie didn't deserve what they got, to be honest with you, and at the end, I didn't really see much of a point to it other than, ooh, the internet's really scary. I have really nothing else to add to this. Okay, summer of '84. It's a boring, derivative movie of It, the remake, and Stranger Things, and it's not as good as either of them. I was bored. Next.
I want Bill Paxton to be my dad.
Okay, the First Purge is next, guys. Now, here's my little rundown of the Purge series. The First Purge sucked. Okay, that's the worst Purge, alright? Total missed opportunity. Terrible way to start out a potential franchise. And, ever since the First Purge, they've gotten better. The Purge Anarchy, I think, was the second one. That was really good because they introduced Frank Grillo. I mean, there was still really annoying characters in there, but there was some awesome action sequences in that movie, mostly due in part to Frank Grillo, who's a goddamn star. I love you, Frank Grillo. And that goes for the third movie, which was even better to me. I really liked The Purge election year, even though there's some really hysterically bad moments in that movie, but it also has some hysterically great moments in it, and great action. And not as good of a climax as the second one did, but I like the performances more. You got Bubba from Forrest Gump. You got the lady running for president, who was terrific. Frank Grillo again. I do sure love me some Frank Grillo in the Purge movies. Did anybody watch Wheelman? That movie was awesome. Again, with the arms. Alright, now this movie. It was kind of pointless. it was not bad, really, but it was okay. It was better than the first movie. Like, I feel like the first movie doesn't need to exist. And this could have been the first movie, literally, because it's called The First Purge, you know? And it's not as obnoxious as I thought it would be in terms of, like, the Trump comparisons, you know, like the Make America Great bullshit that they were doing in the marketing. But, you know, I just feel like it wastes its cast. I feel like the lead of this movie, the guy who's basically Wesley Snipes in New Jack City, he's terrific in this, and I want to see him in more movies. He's pretty goddamn great in this movie. He's almost Frank Grillo level, in my opinion. Everyone else, the brother and the sister, they were annoying and they were not good. Marissa Tomei, they fucking waste gorgeous Marissa Tomei in this movie. And the dad from Everything Sucks is fucking horrible in this movie. Yeah, there's also this guy named Skeletor who's fucking insane and he's horrible. Like, the first scene of this movie is almost as hysterical as the scene in the first scene in the third movie. He's getting interviewed by this guy and the guy's like, so what do you do when you feel angry? And the guy's like, shit, I pop up! I'm like, what? What is happening? I don't know why I'm talking about this movie as much as I am. Yeah, fuck this movie. I don't even hate it. Uncle Drew! Pepsi gets to make movies now, so when am I gonna get to make a fucking movie? Alright, it's directed by Charles Stone III. Alright, I avoided myself from doing the arm movement. Charles Stone III is well known for directing Drumline and one of my favorite hood movies of all time, Paid in Full. How do you go from this?
Any nigga that ever looked at me wrong, owes me money, or ever said any jealous bullshit about me is fucking dead.
To fucking Uncle Drew.
You don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.
This movie isn't terrible. Okay, it's not. It's not. It's harmless. It really is. It's fun. If you're a basketball fan, you're gonna find some enjoyment out of it. I'm a basketball fan. I love it. I love basketball. It's my favorite sport. And I do think, like, most of the NBA players, like, all the main NBA players in this movie are actually pretty damn good. Even Shaquille O'Neal. I really like seeing Nate Robinson, because I'm a Knick fan. Yeah, shit on me. I don't care. And Reggie Miller was even good. And yeah, I like Reggie Miller, even though I'm a Knicks fan. Lil Rel Howery is a really good lead for this movie. I do find that the first, like, half hour of this movie is, like, really insanely mean-spirited. Like, to a weird degree. Like, they have characters played by Tiffany Haddish and Nick Kroll who are very talented comedians, respectively. And in this movie, they're kind of terrible. And especially Tiffany Haddish, because, like, they give her complete free range in this movie to just go off the rails. And Nick Kroll, he actually has some of the best lines in the movie. Yo, shout out to Aleve, the best painkiller in the game right now. That's one of my favorite lines of the year. At the same time, this movie is predictable as fuck, and I didn't really care what was I knew everything that was going to happen in this movie just by the plot beats. The performances were definitely above average. Kyrie Irving did a very good job leading this movie, and I would like to see him do more work in film, actually. Yeah, it's just mediocre. The writing was mediocre. It wasn't very funny, this movie. Like Mike was way funnier. Honestly, just go watch Like Mike.
Favorite play is the alley-oop. I like to pick and roll. I like to give and go. And it's basketball. Bow wow, let's go.
It's way better. Yeah, Uncle Drew. It's fucking 2018. Yeah, fuck this movie. I don't even hate it. Hey, don't worry, man. He won't get far on foot. You know why? Because he's a fucking quadriplegic and he's a drunk and he flails around all over the place, that fucking drunk idiot. Alright, whoa. Alright, this movie's directed by Gus Van Sant and it stars Joaquin Phoenix as the famed quadriplegic cartoonist John Callahan, and it co-stars Jack Black, Rooney Mara, Jonah Hill. I mean, after I said Jonah Hill, do I really need to say more? No, because he's the best. Yeah, I just wanted to rush to that. He's the best part of this movie, and if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination for this performance, the Academy is a goddamn moron. Yeah, the entire Academy is a moron. Yeah, he steals scenes from Joaquin Phoenix, like, legitimately in this movie, and as does Jack Black, who's incredible in this. And, of course, Joaquin Phoenix is terrific, but he can do this performance in his sleep. Rudy Mara also pissed me off in this movie, and her character was so pointless. There's a point where he sees her, Joaquin Phoenix sees her in a bookstore, and out of nowhere, and, like, she's just dressed up as a stewardess, and I'm like, why is there a stewardess just randomly in a bookstore? I don't know why that bothered me. My main problem with this movie is that, like a lot of directorial debuts from this year, this movie has a crazy tone problem. The only difference is that this is directed by Academy Award nominated director Gus Van Sant. It's like he really forgot to direct. It's like he really wanted to get an easy Oscar. And the editing for this movie is kind of terrible because it's told in a non-linear fashion, and I have no idea why this movie does that. Yeah, it's just really manipulative, but it's good. You know, it's fine. The performances really fucking elevate it, obviously. But there's some jarring moments in this due to the inconsistent tone. Gus Van Sant, more like Gus Van can't direct anymore. The fucking goof.
Hey guys, it's Kayla back with another video.
Ugh! Alright, you guys are probably gonna hate me for this one. 8th Grade is directed by Bo Burnham, and it stars Elsie Fisher and Josh Hamilton, and it's distributed by A24, the best studio in the game right now. This had huge buzz after its Sundance premiere, and I hated the trailer for this movie.
My phone, how to charge it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I charge it too. But my phone.
The movie tells the story of an 8th grade girl in the last week of her 8th grade year in school before she heads off to high school, and she makes YouTube videos where everything she says contradicts herself and what she ends up doing in the movie.
They call me quiet or shy or whatever, but I'm not quiet.
Most quiet, Kayla Day.
Like, bitch, you're quiet. Get over it. She says some, like, fake inspirational bullshit, like...
Being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself? And yeah, for sure. But being yourself is like not changing yourself to impress someone else.
And she does exactly that in this movie. Not to say that, like, any other kid character in this movie is interesting, because I didn't find them interesting either. The kids in this school, like, are just so annoying. Like, I get it, Bo Burnham. People like Vine, alright? LeBron James. Like, I get it, okay? It's not that revelatory. And the performance by Elsie Fisher is definitely good. But I just couldn't relate to her character very much, and it was very hard for me. Not to say that, like, every movie needs to be relatable in order for me to like it, but if you're telling a coming-of-age movie about an 8th grader, I expect to, like, relate to it a little bit. And I related to it, like, maybe this much. Like, the space in between my fingers right there. And it would help if she was, like, more of a sympathetic character, because I didn't really particularly find her that interesting or special in any way. I mean, she was just a regular girl that had anxiety problems. I mean, she'll get over it, probably. I mean, I don't really see why this movie needed to be made. Not that it was, like, a terrible movie or anything. And whenever it cut back to her doing her YouTube videos and she would just keep contradicting herself, it was just annoying to me. And how she was just making everything over dramatic.
I'm really, like, nervous all the time. I try really hard not to feel that way. But you just need to face your fears.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
Yeah, face your fears. Going to a pool party is your fear? Really? I'm out of high school now. I've been out of high school for a couple years, and I don't relate to, like, really younger kids now. Like kids who are in 8th grade now, it's, like, vastly different from when I was in 8th grade. And after seeing this movie, while it's authentic, I'm not saying this movie isn't authentic, it's just very hard to sit through just because of how huge that generation gap is for me, because I couldn't relate to a lot of the behavior in this movie. And yeah, this movie, it's genuinely awkward in a true to life way, I guess, but it's also super frustrating in a non-true to life way, and just an annoying screenwriting way. And not only because it's following a young girl either, it's just I'm not similar to her in any ways. Sure, I was insecure as well, like really insecure, especially at that age that she was at, but like I dealt with it better. I didn't pretend to be someone I wasn't. And I mean, first of all, she's kind of like a compulsive liar in this movie. And if I lied when I was a kid, I'd get the shit kicked out of me.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
So yeah, I'm a very anti-lying person now. The movie really doesn't have that much of a story. It just follows her last week of 8th grade. That's basically what the movie is. And Bo Burnham, I hope he does more with his directing in the future. I think he's a great stand-up special director, and I think this movie was definitely admirable in a few ways. I fucking love Josh Hamilton in this movie as the father.
Is there a part for a dad in this? I didn't get to read the whole script.
Imagine Chris Klein in this movie. Oh my God. You think Chris Klein would get any Oscar buzz if he was the dad in this movie? I'm not even sure if Josh Hamilton's going to get any Oscar buzz, but he's fucking great in this movie, and I was really mad how she treated her dad in this movie, and like, he didn't deserve that shit at all. He was awesome. I wish I had a fucking dad like that didn't beat me and just said the nicest shit to me all the time. Like, I like some compliments, and he was also really honest to his daughter. He wasn't like, he never made her feel like shit. He was really a dream dad. Maybe it was too good to be true, that dad, but still, I can dream. Plus, I don't feel like this movie really gives us anything we don't know already about growing up. Like, this movie doesn't really give us any solutions. Neither does life, but I don't see the point in this movie anyway. In the end, he really didn't know if he wanted to make like a Mean Girls meets Napoleon Dynamite kind of movie, or like just a dark Perks of Being a Wallflower-esque movie. And there's a truth or dare scene in this movie that just belongs in another movie. A more tonally competent one, because the tone in this movie is all over the place. Nah, but this movie has already gotten like a crazy Twitter following already, and like fucking teenage girls from this generation that were born after the year 2000, born after 9/11 specifically. Like, they're gonna love this movie. They're gonna call it a fucking classic. They're gonna call it like the 16 Candles of their generation. Just, it's not. It's really not. And Jonah Hill did it better. You'll see what I mean.
As always, make sure to share and subscribe to my channel. Gucci!
You are not in the Gucci gang. Lil Pump would never have you in the Gucci gang.
Gucci gang, 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 Gucci gang.
I've been living in the darkness, shadows of my apartment.
Billionaire Boys Club is next, and it's starring my boy Ansel. He's living in the darkness in his apartment. And it also stars Taron Egerton. And Kevin Spacey, who was also in Baby Driver with Ansel Elgort.
He stole my Mercedes, had a lot of merch in it. I watched him do it too. I didn't stop him though, because I was just blinded by the balls on that kid.
Looks like Ansel has a stalker. And the film is directed by James Cox, who gave us this little gem, Highway. Yeah. Now, I was looking forward to this movie for a couple years, and it's based off a true story. The true story was adapted into a miniseries that starred Judd Nelson, who's also in this movie as Ansel Elgort's dad. Who would have thought? Never saw that miniseries, but I love Judd Nelson, and he's good in this movie. Put him in more movies, please. This movie, for like the first hour, was like whatever. It's about like these like hustling Wall Street ripoff guys, and they're trying to scheme Kevin Spacey, who's really scheming them. And Kevin Spacey's actually really good in this movie, no surprise. But he's probably never going to be in a movie ever again. Ansel Elgort, also very good in this movie. He's expanding on his range. Taron Egerton, though, is the best part of this movie. I fucking loved him in this. He displayed so much range in this. His American accent is near flawless. It's the best performance he's ever given. I am utterly shocked that the fucking Eggsy kid from Kingsman was that good. The direction was kind of bland, and the editing was very straightforward. And there's some subplots in this movie involving like Emma Roberts and another actress, and it just didn't belong in this movie, in my opinion. I think the third act is really what saved it. Bokeem Woodbine also shows up and gives a good performance, but it's nothing you really need to rush out and see. It's okay. I didn't mind it. I liked it because of the performances, and I'm a crime movie junkie.
I drink your milkshake.
I don't know. I'm really not feeling it. Can we get strawberry?
Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp, directed by Peyton Reed, director of Bring It On and Yes Man, and the first Ant-Man, which I actually really enjoyed. It, of course, stars Paul Rudd, one of my favorite actors working today, and tomorrow, probably. It also stars Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michael Pena, and T.I. and Walton Goggins, and a bunch of people.
Fran Kranz.
Like I said, I really liked the first Ant-Man, and I was looking forward to this, but I honestly think this is one of the weaker Marvel movies we've gotten in a while. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought there was some really hilarious moments in this movie, especially with Michael Pena and T.I. and David Dastmalchian as Paul Rudd's friends. They're great as always. Paul Rudd is great as always, and he actually expands on his range in this one too, especially with that apparition scene where he's pretending to be Michelle Pfeiffer's character. I'm still iffy about the Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly characters, and Evangeline Lilly's performance is very on or off for me. But I think she's good with the action scenes, and I think she's convincing as the character, but I just don't think her chemistry with Paul Rudd is 100% yet. And I find that whole relationship to be very forced. The villain in this movie was just, like, completely wasted, and they tried to make it like a Michael B. Jordan sort of, like, sympathetic villain, but more so in this movie, because in this movie it's like, I'm in physical pain. My father died protecting me and my family. I was like, first of all, you caused yourself all of your problems because you ran to your dad as he was dying. Spoiler alert. I love how Michael Douglas just rubs that off in the next scene. He's just like, oh yeah, well, her dad was a fucking traitor. He stole all my plans. And they never acknowledge anything else after the fact. Lawrence Fishburne didn't need to be in this movie. Walton Goggins didn't need to be in this movie, even though he has some really great moments with Michael Pena, but that's it. I fucking love Walton Goggins. Other than that, yeah, the action was decent. It's just the story I couldn't really gel with me. I thought the first movie was way more compelling. Yeah, Marvel kind of disappointed me with this one. So.
Let me give you a tip. You want to make some money here? Use your white voice.
My white voice?
I'm not talking about Will Smith's wife, like this young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer. This is Langston from Regal View.
Okay, right off the bat, I'm going to need to put up a spoiler alert for you because I have to talk about this movie in complete context. Sorry to bother you. It's directed by Boots Riley, a rapper, and it's his directorial debut. Yeah. This is the 90th directorial debut this year. It stars Keith Stanfield, one of my favorite actors of this decade. I loved him in Short Term 12. Love him on Atlanta. One of my favorite parts about that show. He was a great Snoop Dogg in Straight Outta Compton. I love that guy.
And Lakeith Stanfield is pretty much turning into Nicolas Cage for black people. He's just kind of weird.
Why is that accurate? It also stars Tessa Thompson, Stephen Yeun, Danny Glover, Jermaine Fowler, David Cross, Patton Oswalt, Steve Buscemi,
Fran Kranz,
and Armie Hammer in the performance of his lifetime.
Cash, I'm gonna make you a proposal. I can see that you want to say no, but I wouldn't do that before you see what I'm offering you. Cash, you are awesome.
Yeah, I was extremely looking forward to this movie. I thought the trailers were energetic, intriguing, and the premise just sounded wholly original. I was hearing this movie as like a dark comedy, satire, sci-fi movie, and after seeing it, yeah, this movie, like a lot of other directorial debuts from 2018, is totally all over the fucking place. This movie doesn't know if it wants to be a straightforward comedy, a dark comedy, a science fiction comedy, a straight-up B-horror movie out of nowhere. I'll explain all of this, but I just want to say, I really like this movie, and I love the ambition that Boots Riley put into this. I'll get the story out of the way first. Keith Stanfield plays this down-on-his-luck guy. He gets a job at a telemarketing company. He uses his white voice in order to get up in the ranks in the company, and then chaos fucking ensues. Like I said, spoiler alert, he goes to this party, right? And as soon as he goes to the party and there's a certain scene that happens, once he figures out that there's fucking horse people that exist and Armie Hammer and his company developed in a lab, and you find out on this stop motion animation video that there's horse people hybrids after you sniff this cocaine-like substance, then you think in the back of your mind, hey, Keith Stanfield fucking snorted coke. That wasn't cocaine, wasn't it? Of course, the scene ends with Army Hammer fucking going, yeah, I'm not evil. I wouldn't give you the fucking formula. I'm giving you the offer. I'm not. Yeah. And at the end of the fucking movie, I called it. Like, he turns into a fucking horse person. And in this movie, they make up a term for it. It's called equisapien. I love how that's going to be a term now. That was really my big problem with the movie, is that as soon as it went there, I predicted the ending. And I hate that. I really, really hate that. And the tone was still all over the place. Like, I think, like, probably the first half of this movie is the better part, where, you know, he finally, you know, finds his footing in this job, and he's going up in the ranks, and the cast chemistry is great. There's a few characters in this movie that I think are miswritten, like Stephen Ewan's character, Danny Glover's character. Even though I like Danny Glover in the movie, but there's a certain point in this movie where he pretty much knows that the company is evil, and he compares, like, apples to oranges, right? Keith Stanfield says, but then he says, yeah, it's more like apples to the Holocaust, and it's like, then you find out about the equifucking-sapiens in the movie, and then it's like, yeah, like, Danny Glover definitely knew what was up. Like, why didn't he tell fucking Keith Stanfield? Why does everything with an old person in a movie have to be like some fucking mythical metaphor? That's what this movie was. It was just a bunch of really weird metaphors. Boots Riley doesn't know what subject he wants to tackle. Does he want to tackle race inequality? Does he want to tackle like low paying jobs, like and how unfair that is, living conditions, working conditions? Like, there's so many fucking things in this movie that he wants to tackle, and it's just it's a mess. But like I said, it's fucking entertaining. It's hilarious. The performances are terrific. Keith Stanfield is outstanding in this movie. Even though this movie is a million tones, like I said, he nails every single tone, and they definitely got the right actor for the role. Like I said, Army Hammer in this movie is like, this might be the best performance he's ever given in his life. I love him in The Social Network, and I've liked him as an actor always, but like, he is fucking, I wish he was in this movie more, because he was fucking hilarious. Like I said, I really hate what they do with that character and kind of just, you know, turn him into like a cartoon, but his performance was just right on the money, and he has one of the funniest scenes of the year by far. I wasn't a big fan of Tessa Thompson in this movie. To be honest with you, I'm not really a big Tessa Thompson fan. Sorry, I just think she first of all, she doesn't play likable characters, and she played such a fucking hypocrite in this movie. What the fuck? She was giving Keith Stanfield grief for being a fake, yet she was a fake in her job when she's using fucking Lily James's voice. Whatever. There was just very uneven writing like that bothered me, but like, I love the cinematography. I love the costume design. I know it's a weird thing to bring up. I like the score. The musical score was great at points. Like I said, the cast gels together well. I think the humor is like 75% really good to great, and then the other 25% I could just throw out the fucking window. Like, if you take Spike Lee, David Lynch, John Waters, and Terry Gilliam, and just, I don't know, just put them give them fucking snorting powder, and like all of their bodies mashed together, and then they become a quadrasapien. And that guy directed this movie. That's who directed it. Boots Riley doesn't exist. It was the quadrasapien. But that's what I mean about 2018 in film. Like, you get really competently made movies, but they don't know what tone they want to be, and they just want to shock you for no reason. And I think it's a good movie, but I feel like this guy, Boots Riley, could make an amazing movie. Or the Quadrasapien, whoever the fuck he is.
Oh yeah! Alright! Some for the homies and some for me!
Boogie, 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 boogie.
Get the fuck away from me!
Hey, oh, it's Super Troopers 2! Yeah! It's from the Broken Lizard crew. I don't like those guys' movies. I love how those guys are basically like a fraternity turned comedy troupe, because that's all these movies are. Club Dread, the first Super Troopers, Beer Fest, the Slammin' Salmon. All these movies are fucking like gross out humor just for the sake of gross out humor. Guys punching each other in the nuts, just crazy drug scenes that aren't even that funny. But this movie is the best Broken Lizard movie. I'm not even kidding. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this movie for what it was, which was dumb but funny but sort of smart satire. This Broken Lizard cast knows how to work with each other really well, and all the members in this cast, unlike the other movies, all have a moment to shine in this. Some of the supporting cast is pretty terrible, like Emmanuel Shariki and Rob Lowe, and Will Sasso is really bad. But then you get really great supporting performances from the Broken Lizard crew, of course. You get Brian Cox back again as the police captain, and even Tyler Labine as one of the Rangers, the Canadian Rangers. I don't even like Tyler Labine, and I thought he was funny in this movie. I'd figure I'd throw him a shout out, because I'd never been nice to Tyler Labine, ever. Yeah, the Canadian jokes in this movie kind of get old, and the anti-US jokes get old, but there's a lot of really funny moments in this movie. I think the opening scene of this movie is way funnier than the first movie's opening scene. I don't think the first movie's that funny, and I think it's a really cynical stoner movie. I think this movie is like less of a stoner movie and more of like a crazy sequel, and like they just wanted to make it crazier and funnier, and I think they accomplished that. It's dumb fun, but it also has really memorable scenes, and it's funnier than a lot of the contemporary comedies it's against. Like, I liked it more than Blockers, personally, but it's not better than Tag or Game Night by any stretch of the imagination.
MacGruber! My name is Chris Klein, and I really want this part, MacGruber!
Another fucking Netflix movie, guys. It's The Legacy of a White-Tailed Deer Hunter. It's directed by Jody Hill, the genius who gave us this little classic right here. Yeah, I keep sliding them. I keep sliding you guys with the classics. Yeah, that movie's incredible. If you haven't seen that, just stop watching this video. He also did The Foot Fist Way, which I'm not really a big fan of, but I am a big fan of Vice Principals, and I really like Eastbound and Down. And yeah, Netflix made a good movie. It's a solid movie. It tells the story of Josh Brolin, who's a famous deer hunter on some Animal Planet channel, and Danny McBride's his cameraman, who's very raunchy, and he brings his little son along, who's really a good young up-and-coming actor, Montana Jordan, I think his name is.
You know what I could go for? Turkey panini.
I don't know why I found that hysterical. Yeah, it's an innocent little movie. It has a really good ending. It has great cinematography. It's a good, solid little Netflix movie. It's nothing, too special, but it's solid. It's not nearly as dark as Observe and Report. It's pretty good. Danny McBride's good in it, too, even though he has a weird scene with the little boy. He doesn't rape the little boy, don't worry. It's just a strange scene that didn't belong in this movie. Josh Brolin is great in it, too. I forgot to mention that. I'll give The Legacy of a White-Tailed Deer Hunter 7.5 out of 10 turkey paninis. Okay, First Reformed. This is a movie that people love. I just think it's good. I don't think it's as deep as it thinks it is. It's directed by Paul Schrader, the guy who, of course, wrote Taxi Driver. Classic! And it stars Ethan Hawke, my dad. He's not my dad. It also stars Cedric the Entertainer Kyles, Amanda Seyfried, and newcomer Philip Ettinger. It's a crazy movie about Ethan Hawke. He's a priest. He praises the Lord, of course. Yeah, I think it's crazy. It's not, I don't know really how to discuss this movie. I don't think I'm smart enough to. Dusty isn't smart enough. Oh no, Lord, please, no. No, but it's very well made, and I just don't think it's as deep as it thinks it is, but it's pretty good. All right, leave me alone. I have fucking 25 movies to talk about.
I saw, I came, I saw, I praise the Lord, then break the law.
Hot Summer Nights. It's another directorial debut. Whoop-de-doo. It's directed by Elijah Bynum, and it stars Timothy Chalamet.
Look at me, it's Timmy T.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that the whole video, okay? You thought I was going to keep cutting back to that. That's not happening. It also co-stars Alex Rowe, Micah Monroe, and Emery Cohen. Now, this is a crazy little movie. It's another directorial debut where the tone is all over the goddamn place. I know I'm sounding repetitive, but the movies are repetitive. I'm not to blame. These movies, they start out one way, and then they end a completely different way. This movie, deadass, starts out for the first hour or so like a pitch black, dark crime comedy with teenagers in it. it has this weird narration by an irrelevant character we don't even know, like the Virgin Suicides. It's sort of like the Virgin Suicides meets Goodfellas, this narration. It's so bizarre. And yet, I was really enjoying it because of the performances and the really vibrant direction. Great use of soundtrack. It's a 90s set period piece. It's very convincing at that. The cinematography is phenomenal. I just really was digging the shit out of this movie. And then it keeps going, this movie, and it turns into a melodrama. And I wasn't really into that, but I still really enjoyed this movie. But by the time it ended, I was just like, what? This is just weird now. Timothée Chalamet is a great lead for this movie. I think he's a great up-and-coming actor and a shitty rapper. No, we're not doing that! He was giving me like Jesse Eisenberg vibes, like in Adventureland. Like he was playing this really awkward but really funny like teenage character, and I was convinced. And his chemistry with Micah Monroe was pretty terrific, and this is her best performance she's ever given, by far. I liked her in It Follows, but she was great in this movie. I loved her a lot, and she is another actress that I'm kind of in love with. She is gorgeous. I'm not going to follow her, but alright, that was a bad joke. Alex Rowe is pretty good, even though I'm sick of that storyline where it's like in movies where you see, hey, if you go out with my sister, touch my sister, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to kill you, actually. I'm going to commit murder. But then you get scenes with Emery Cohen, who's just becoming a young up-and-coming scene stealer in every movie he's in. In Detour, The Place Beyond the Pines, and now this movie. He's fucking great, and I wanted like 10 more minutes of him in this movie, if anything. There's points where this movie tries to rip off Boogie Nights and other various movies like it, but I still had a really fun time this entire time. It was really interesting. I feel like the movie could have been 15 minutes shorter, but it's pretty good. I'm going to dock the movie a point if you keep rapping.
Hey, do you guys know Brendan Fraser? He's such a peach.
Next up is another goddamn directorial debut that I really, really liked, and the tone was better than most directorial debuts this year. It's a little movie called Rosy, starring Stacey Martin from Nymphomaniac and Nat I'm not Bob! Wolf. It also co-stars Johnny Knoxville and Tony Shalhoub. Now, this movie follows Stacey Martin. She's an actress. She gets kidnapped by Nat Wolf, who's madly in love with her, and that's all I want to say. Yeah, this movie's crazy, and it's really funny and really dark, but like it's also dramatically really effective, and the performances are what really elevate it. That and the stylish cinematography and direction by Jessica Manafort. Especially for the performance by Nat Wolf, who continues his streak for me on being like one of the best up-and-coming actors we've had this decade. With this, Palo Alto, throw in Death Note. I liked him a lot in Death Note. Fuck you guys. He's just a really, really great actor, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Stacey Martin from Nymphomaniac is also terrific, and they have great chemistry. Other than that, I really don't want to tell you what goes down in this movie because it's really unpredictable and twisty and turny and really good. It's an audacious debut, and I think it's one that needs to be seen.
Yeah. I'm from the Bay, you know what I'm saying? Like, This is from the Bay.
Not really.
Mr. Sawed-Off Leatherface. Another fucking directorial debut. This year is like setting a record for directorial debuts, I think. This one was actually really good. I was not expecting it to be. I thought the trailers for this movie, it made it look really heavy-handed and kind of laughable. Like, it was tackling so many things like, oh, well, black people get shot by the police every day. Every day! Yeah, I know, it's horrible. But, like, you don't gotta keep repeating that the entire movie. But thank God this movie isn't like that. The movie is co-written by its stars, Daveed Diggs and Raphael Casal. I don't believe I've ever seen Raphael Casal in anything. This movie tells the story of Daveed Diggs. He plays this character who's been on probation for a year after being in jail. For a really dumb reason, too. Nonetheless, he has 3 more days of his probation, and that's where the movie pretty much takes place. And how he's trying to avoid staying out of jail and shit, and trying to just get off his probation. He also witnesses a black man get shot by the police unlawfully, and that kind of fucks his mind up. Now, this movie is being oddly marketed as a comedy, and it's not a comedy. Is the movie funny? Yes, it's funny, but it's funny in like a way that like the Spike Lee movies are funny. You know how like Do the Right Thing is like hilarious at points, but in like a real, true to life way. Same thing with these performances. It's really lived in work these actors are doing. Like Daveed Diggs is outstanding in this movie, as is Raphael Casal at certain points. My main problem, like a Spike Lee movie or fucking Boots Riley, Sorry to Bother You, you know, the Quadrisapien, is that like it gets a little too heavy-handed and tries to hammer its point home a little too weirdly at points. Like, I think there's a dream sequence in this movie that could have been completely cut out. I think there's this scene where he's jogging and then he just sees all these people, all these dead black people who were shot by the cops while he's passing a cemetery. It's like, okay, I get it, all right? It's the police suck, all right? Fuck the police. Coming straight from the underground. Like I said, the movie is really funny and it's depressing and frustrating in a true to life way, like I said. I think the best scene in this movie involves my best friend, the Indian actor from Pitch Perfect. I refuse to remember his name. He steals the movie with his one scene. That's probably my favorite scene of the year. It's a really funny but raw scene at the same time, and the utilization of the soundtrack is terrific. That's another thing. I love how this movie is set in the Bay, and all of the soundtrack is by Bay artists, and there's no G-Eazy. I kind of have to give this movie like a 1.5 point, just for the fact that G-Eazy isn't on the soundtrack. How the fuck do you cheat on Halsey? The one performance I wasn't a fan of in this movie, and the one character, was the ex-girlfriend character, who I feel like the cinematography kind of lingered on her, just giving a bitchy face to Daveed Diggs every fucking scene she was in, and just her character just giving him terrible, judgmental insults. It was really hard to watch at points, and that performance was just really obnoxious. I do think the cinematography, though, otherwise is terrific. It's a really relevant and funny and dark and dramatic movie, and it's not in your face. Take that, Boots Riley. And this movie really pulls something off in its climax that could have been really, really over the top and cheesy, and some people have called it that, but I disagree with them. I think it was really well executed, especially due to the really powerful performance given by Daveed Diggs, who's outstanding in this movie.
Oh, shit. This is my life. This isn't some game.
American Animals is next. It's directed by Bart Layton. This is his feature directorial debut. He's directed documentaries. And this film is also a true story, and the film's marketing, can't stress that enough. They're like, this isn't based off a true story. This is a true story. It's about these 4 jackass kids from Kentucky, and they just want to steal some art bag. For a movie about an art heist, it's goddamn interesting. It's half like documentary, half regular movie, where we see, the regular movie versions of these real people, and then we see the real people themselves, along with their parents and teachers and etc. Now, if there's one thing I'd complain about the documentary aspect of this movie is I didn't need to see their parents. I didn't need to see the teachers. I just wanted to see the guys who were part of this goddamn heist. I don't want to see the opinion of the librarian who was attacked. I don't want to see what she thinks about this, because it kind of like put a weird like biasness to the end of this movie, which was kind of weird. But the rest of this movie is like insanely entertaining. The performances, Barry Keoghan from Killing a Sacred Deer kills it again. He's really good. Blake Jenner, Jake Blana, he's phenomenal in this movie. I wish he was in it more. Evan Peters is a goddamn star, though. Like, he's the big takeaway, and it's honestly my favorite performance of the year. I don't know what was more entertaining, his performance or the guy he was playing. That guy was fucking hilarious, too. I don't want to give too much away of what this movie, does, and, the twists and turns it does. I just really dig the filmmaking in this movie. I love how it's edited. I love the soundtrack. It's really well utilized. It's a really unique movie that it doesn't 100% work, combining both documentary and, fiction. It's insanely ambitious, that's for sure. It's not as good as I, Tonya. It's not, but it's definitely very good. And Evan Peters is incredible in this movie. I can't stress that enough. The BlacKkKlansman, more like WhackKkKlansman. Am I right?
Hey, let me know when it's recording.
I don't know. Is it recording?
Hey guys, I'm Chris, and I fucked Dustin's grandmother.
No, you didn't.
So how are you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing okay. We're going to talk about the BlacKkKlansman, the fucking Spike Lee movie that was good, but not amazing, but it's probably going to win Best Picture and everything. It's going to tie with Best Picture with the Black Panther. Yeah, right? Isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
It's going to tie with fucking Crazy Rich Asians.
I support Asian women.
No, I liked BlacKkKlansman. It was good though. It was Gucci and everything, but I just thought some of it was super exaggerated just for the fact that it was a biopic, but I don't feel like all biopics do that and should do that at all.
The Laura, whatever her name is, what's her name?
Spider-Man bitch.
Yeah. Okay, her shit especially was exaggerated. That felt very tacked on.
Yeah,
and unnecessary.
That felt like that didn't need to be in the movie at all. That kind of sucked, honestly.
You want to hear something weird? I've been I was reading this post on a Facebook movie group the other day, and there were a bunch of people talking about how Corey Hawkins deserves awards attention.
Corey Hawkins, bro?
If you have ever seen anyone look closer to Dr. Dre than Checho Hagen, you tell me right now. If I ever see this movie, it's gonna bother me so much that I wasn't cast as Dr. Dre. That's all I'm gonna be thinking about. Why'd they get this guy? He's not the best.
Yeah, for how they were saying he was the MVP of the movie.
Well, he was great, but that scene goes on for 17 minutes.
And it's also compared to a good majority of the movie, I think very heavy-handed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The movie its tone is all over the place. It's part buddy cop comedy, then part like a Donnie Brasco sort of movie, and it's really all over the place with its tone, and then it has documentary footage at the beginning and the end of the movie that just felt what is this movie? But everything in between that is pretty goddamn entertaining. The script is great. The performances, for the most part, are great, except that fucking Felix character and his wife, who were horrible.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. They were very over the top and cartoonish, and it's weird too because all of the other actors who play the Klansman and Topher Grace, they all feel very human. And realistically acted at the very least. Even Paul Walter Hauser, even though he's there to just sort of be a comedic character, he doesn't play it in an over the top cartoonish way. And that's why it's so jarring whenever the movie focuses on the Felix character and his wife.
Yeah, and They don't focus any other time with any other character like that, but then there's a portion of the movie where there's a scene where we just see them in bed, him and his wife, and it's and the wife's I sure can't wait to kill them N-words.
I have a black grandfather who did 13 years in prison for drug dealing. Not even joking.
What the fuck? Dude, I don't know what took a more drastic turn, BlacKkKlansman or this review.
I mean, hey, it felt necessary. I mean, we're reviewing BlacKkKlansman. If that movie's gonna take some turns, shit, I've got to take some turns.
Dude, hopefully more turns than Paul Walker did in his car.
I love Adam Driver so much in that movie. That's a performance I keep thinking about.
Yes, Adam Driver, dude, Adam Driver. He's a better driver than Paul Walker and a better actor.
He's really fantastic in that movie, and I honestly think I'm starting to buy that he's going to get awards attention for it too.
He's the best part of the movie, to be honest. For a movie called
he
BlacKkKlansman,
is by far.
He's terrific as this character who's sort of skeptical about this idea, but he knows it's for a good cause, and then he has to overcome some of his own internal struggles as well with him being Jewish, and it's a terrifically layered performance filled with a lot of great humorous aspects as well. And Steve Buscemi's brother is really good in it. Like you said, Topher Grace is a fucking racist in this movie, and it's probably the best performance he's ever given in a movie. And I love Topher Grace. And if he gets Oscar buzz for this movie, which I have a feeling Topher Grace is going to campaign really hard for this movie, Chris. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if he has a campaign, like, I wouldn't even be upset, even if I don't have him in my top 5 by the end of the year. John David Washington's great, of course, as the main character.
He is.
He's really great. I think it's funny how Boots Riley, the Quadrisapien, he's been talking mad shit about this movie, and he's like, and it's like, bro, did you watch your own movie? Your movie's crazy, bro.
That's a movie you and I disagree on just a little bit. I gave that movie initially the same rating as this movie, but that's just more just because of how much I appreciate that movie for its ambition. But this is definitely the more focused, well-directed movie for sure, and that is hypocritical of him to say that.
There's scenes in this movie that are kind of just there to make the audience happy, at the end with not only the Topher Grace scene, which is very well earned, but the scene with the cop, the racist cop, getting busted by all the cops is a little too on the nose, and I see where Boots Riley was coming from that angle. Other than that, this movie's pretty good. I give this movie 8.5 black people out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 too. But I just want to say really quick, whatever happens as far as the awards go, let's say this movie wins Best Picture or Black Panther wins Best Picture, just whatever happens, I really want this thing to play. Beautiful, incredible, amazing. I would love that to just play while Spike Lee wins his Oscar or fucking Ryan Coogler wins his Oscar.
All the black people that win.
Yeah, and then it just cuts to Logic, and he's just chanting as he just because, and he's there because he's probably gonna do a song for fucking That Hate You Give movie and get nominated. Who knows?
All right, that was BlacKkKlansman.
Black people are beautiful, incredible, amazing black people.
All right, Chris and I are back again for Teen
That fucking movie.
Teen Titans Go to the movies. Because if Aquaman can get a movie, anyone can.
Whoa, okay, well, Chris, I have to say, I was looking forward to this movie a lot because the trailers.
I was too.
The trailers are really good.
I really liked it. I thought it was pretty funny. I liked just how witty it was and just refreshingly just deadpan some of the humor was, and it had so much personality to it. I had so much fun with that.
Yeah, it's only 80 minutes long, this movie, not including the fucking short at the beginning with the Batgirl called The Late Batsby, which was corn. I didn't like that. Not good. Not good,
yeah, I wasn't crazy about that either.
Not good, you. Yeah, the animation is fantastic. The voice cast was great. All of the Teen Titans, they were very good. Scott Menville as Robin was a great lead for this movie. Will Arnett plays the villain he wants to be in every fucking animated movie ever, and Show Dogs. And he's great in this movie. He's terrific.
We're taking you down.
How are you gonna do it? What are you gonna do? You gonna fart on me? We wanna have a dance-off?
As is Nicolas Cage and my another love of my life, Halsey as Wonder Woman, and Lil Yachty playing the first on-screen interpretation of the Black Green Lantern. Think about how fucking crazy that is.
I went into that movie thinking Lil Yachty would give the performance of the year.
This movie is fucking hysterical, okay? First of all, this movie is
very funny.
This movie is one of the funniest movies of the year, not even exaggerating. It has some of the darkest and most feel good humor at the same time of the year. There's scenes where they go back in the time, right, initially.
It's the best scene in the movie.
And to power up their bikes, they have to be really rad, and that's what makes them go back into time. And yet they go back into time to somehow prevent all the superheroes from becoming superheroes. And while they're doing that, they kill baby Aquaman. Yeah,
that whole sequence is fantastic, and I think that scene really is just an example of just how much energy and personality this movie has. And not that not that there aren't like other animated movies like that, you know, just don't have personality or anything, but like just for like a big like studio movie like this, just like a animated movie like this, superhero movie nonetheless, like it's really fucking awesome just to see them just rip on like Batman versus Superman and really just all of just the wrongdoings of DC, but it's also never like obnoxious about that. Like it's cheeky, you know, and there's an amazing Stan Lee cameo in it. And
that's the greatest Stan Lee cameo of all time, by the way.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
The charm of this movie was so infectious, and even though the plot beats were predictable, Kristen Bell was not good in this movie. Shocker. She's not good anymore in movies. Teen Titans, let's do it. The Teen Titans on Teen Titans.
Michael Bolton is fucking amazing in an original song in the movie. Just want to throw that in.
I give this a strong 8.5 out of 10.
Strong 8 out of 10 for me.
This movie has like one of the greatest cut to credits I've ever seen too.
I was smiling so much at that, and there was a family just sitting in front of me, and I was just looking down and just kind of quietly like laughing at them. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, fuck them.
I mean, Kevin Spacey probably would.
What's your emergency?
There's a man inside there, and he's killed people. He's got a lot of guns.
Yeah, boy. So do I.
Damn it! God damn it! Who'd I shoot?
Arizona is one of the best films I've seen this year, and it's a directorial goddamn debut. It's directed by Jonathan Watson, not to be confused with bad director of Spider-Man Homecoming, John Watts. And it's produced by David Gordon Green and Jody Hill, which is kind of funny because this movie feels like if Jody Hill and the Coen brothers ever collaborated on anything. It stars Rosemary DeWitt, Danny McBride, Luke Wilson, and David Alan Grier. It's a pitch black dark comedy set in 2009 in the state of Arizona. And it's during like the housing crisis, and it's a pitch black dark comedy and one of the best ones I've seen in a very long time. This movie is crazy right from the first 3 minutes. It lets you know that it's not crazy in like a completely unrealistic way. All the deaths in this movie are to a certain extent realistic. It's just crazy what these characters are getting themselves into more so than the actual situations. If that makes any sense. Some of the best dialogue I've heard all year. These characters are both very well fleshed out. More so Danny McBride. There's a little bit of vagueness to his character, but there's enough that we get it. And the performance is like an all-timer from him. It's one of the best performances, if not the best performance of the year and his career.
Shut up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I have kids, and that was mean.
He's so quotable in this movie already. And I don't want to spoil any of the quotes for you, but you just have to see this movie because no one's going to watch this.
Okay, I got to get out of here.
If you don't like movies like Observe and Report or shows like Vice Principals, this is probably not up your alley, but this movie is unpredictable. It has running gags that pay off in the end, and if I have any problems with it, maybe slight pacing issues, even though it's a short movie to begin with, and the fact that the last 5 minutes, I would say, were a little typical for such an untypical movie. Other than that, it's really one of the most entertaining movies I've seen this year. I was laughing very consistently. It's fucking hysterical, this movie. Like I said, Danny McBride is amazing, and I just love singing that song. Arizona, it's the best movie of the year. No, it's not. Arizona. Okay, so that was the recap. Hopefully you guys realize why 2018 still sucks so far. Some good movies, some really admirable ones, but if you compare those few ones to the, you know, even the mediocre ones and the really, 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 really shitty ones, like, it's no contest. And even the great movies have some problems, like I said. But, you know, I still get enjoyment out of movies, but this year isn't as consistent as a lot of this other years that have been in this decade. Teen Titans Go is one of the best fucking movies of the year. Now, I did see one more movie. I did. I'm not allowed to talk about it, otherwise I'll probably get, like, arrested or something. But, like, I saw it last month, and it's fucking amazing. And I can only give you 2 hints, okay? Just 2 hints, alright? Here's one.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad?
Here's the second one. Okay, I told you the movie. That's all you're getting from me from now, but I'm going to talk about that movie. That is the best movie I've seen this year. Fucking arrest me for saying that, but like, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'll probably just end up filming a review for it and just do that separately from the videos I've been doing, because I really do want to talk about that movie and my love for Jonah Hill. Kind of want to just talk about like his whole career in general, leading up to him directing this. So that could be fun. Hopefully the fall movie season is when we'll really kick into gear, and that's going to be the all-star time. I'd also like to give a shout out to the sponsor, Klein, America's favorite actor. I'll also like to give a shout out to my mom. I have no idea where she is right now, but like, you know, shout out to her. And one more thing. Hey, Chris, don't go overboard. Just praise the Lord, beg.
And I'd like to give a shout out to my niggas with the game plan. And shout outs to my niggas with escape plans.